Hi, you've tuned into Honey Kalaria's Midday Musty Show on New Sound Radio 92 FM. I have a lady called Ganga who's standing here who also attended this wonderful Vedic evening. It was full of laughter, full of fun, full of teachings. And I found this lady quite fascinating because she told me that she's lived in India for 15 years. Now, why is that fascinating? Because she comes from Scotland. And not just that, she teaches Vedic studies in Scotland. And apart from that, she has done many other things which she's going to just share with us. Hi, Ganga.
Hi.
Ganga, you're a really amazing, fascinating lady. You've been studying Vedic studies for the past 15 years. You teach this in Scotland. Can you tell me a little bit about your background?
Sure. I consider myself extraordinarily lucky to have found this teaching. I've always been looking for truth, integrity, what this whole insane thing that we call life is really about. So I began as a lawyer, thinking in law I could find justice, truth. I gave that up pretty quickly and I tried theology. I trained as a Christian minister. I ended up working as a chaplain in New York for years and I was there in the midst of the AIDS explosion. Came back to Scotland, ran an AIDS project here and ended up, I had a lot of death, a lot of tragedies in my life, all of which pushed me further and further to ask what is really going on. I tried so many different philosophies, teachings, weird and wonderful, anything, looking for what's the point of all of this? There must be something that can make sense of it. And my last resort was India. I was so anti-Eastern philosophy for a long time because I thought it was disembodied. And I grew up with a very big Judeo-Christian body-mind split, and I wasn't interested in that. But after 3 years of traveling in India to monasteries, ashrams, different teachers, anything I could find, by some sheer, grace, miracle, I found my way to the ashram of Swami Dayananda, Swami Vedi Tatmanandaji's, one of his main teachers, on the banks of the Ganga. And that's where I first heard Swamiji talking this profound wisdom. It put everything in place, leaving no gaps. Everything else I'd seen, they have little glimpses of truth, mysticism, all of these things. They're inspiring and they're great while they last, but then you land again and it's like, well, where did that go? And you're waiting for the next high, the next, lightning flash. And this accounts for everything, from the lightning flashes to the despair and everything in between. It's like the master plan. It's like the instruction manual for life.
Wow, that's such a wonderful way to describe it. An instruction manual for life. How did it help to transform your life, bringing these teachings into your life afterwards?
Well, I spent years in India studying, as you mentioned, and I come back to Scotland and I'm teaching this myself now. It gives a bigger context. You're no longer expecting life for what you see, for what you experience to be a fulfillment, because you recognize it for what it is. It's experiences coming and going. From the waking state, dream state, deep sleep state, there is something that is constant through all of that. From the time you're a child, right through till you're lying on your deathbed as an old person, there's something aware of everything that's going on. So that is what Vedanta directs you back to. And by an analysis, neti, not this, you examine each layer where you have identification to see how none of that can possibly be who you are. And once you see that, your mind is driven into a corner where it cannot help but recognize what that constant is. And Vedanta is like the mirror to show you yourself, which you cannot find for yourself any other way because you're always seeing through your own limited frame.
That's a really good way of explaining that as well, because, being a teacher, how do you find this transforms people's lives? Because you must have met lots of people with perhaps lots of challenges. For example, how does Vedic scriptures help people with challenges?
Well, it's usually people with challenges who find their way to this teaching. Generally, the people that come to this teaching are people who have looked in many other places and haven't just drifted through life. Generally, they've been forced to ask bigger questions and not been able to find sufficient answers. So this teaching gives a relaxation, even in the midst of the worst things that can be thrown at you, because you understand everything is arising and resolving, from the most wonderful things to the most despairing things. They're here in the moment, and then we put our impositions onto them. We're not seeing anything as it really is. Everything is through our blinkers. So Vedanta gradually helps tear away the layers, not tear away, but by illuminating what's really there, the layers resolve, they evaporate. They've never actually been there, but they might as well be there because we're living as though they are there.
That's very true, because sometimes, you put a meaning to something, but actually could not, you don't even know if that's right. It's all based on your belief systems, the way you've experienced something else in life, and you start adding meanings to things that would have happened but if you kind of look at it as it is and peel off the layers, you'll be thinking, oh, well, there's a law of impermanence here. Things are going to be there and they're going to disappear later.
That's the one inevitable thing in life. Everything that comes into manifestation will resolve, and everything is in constant flux. And yet in this, we're trying to find security. We're trying to find something that we can count on. It's impossible, because that's not the essence of what is at this level. Only by understanding the reality of the one who's asking the questions and of everything that's being experienced is there any hope of finding that constant through it all. And that's exactly what Vedanta illuminates.
What was the difference then? Because I was quite intrigued that you've studied and you were a Christian minister, minister at a church, and Vedantic studies, which comes from the Hindu background. I mean, what was the difference between the two teachings? Or were there any similarities or differences?
Well, I think Swamiji might have mentioned that all of the various religions have a solid core, an ethical basis. That is constant. The Dharma. We all come with a ready-made sense of right and wrong. What hurts me is going to hurt any other living being. That is our innate nature. That's like the inbuilt brake system that we have. So that is common. There's no religion that doesn't nurture not harming and, validating other beings.
So that's the similarity part of it.
Yeah. Christianity is, to use Hindu terms, is a religion of bhakti, of devotion. It's a very important step of growth, where you surrender to something more than yourself. So you are not center stage, but you feel you're not totally useless because someone loved you enough to sacrifice for you. But it's a relative solution once you have the bigger picture. The final goal is heaven. And in the teaching of Vedanta, you ask, well, who's the one that's going to heaven? There's something that goes somewhere. Who's aware of what's going to go there? And anything that goes somewhere is going to come back. And heaven, Christianity, the other religions don't address the deeper questions, none of them that I came across anyway. All of our questions are based on the waker. We don't look at who is the dreamer, who is the deep sleeper, what is it that connects all of these. We don't account for these at all. Vedanta not only answers your questions, they tell you the questions that you actually would like to ask if you'd thought of them.
Wow, that's deep. Wow, I could talk for ages with somebody like you, Ganga. You sound amazing. I think I need to come to Scotland and attend one of your classes.
You would be most welcome.
Well, Ganga, I just want to say thank you very much for sharing your wonderful experiences with Vedantic knowledge. And of course, good luck with all your teaching and, transforming people's lives in a positive way through Vedic studies.
Yeah, it's the teaching that transforms. And as Swamiji would say, none of it is ours. We're simply presenting what has been passed down for thousands of years. It's such a privilege to be able to share that.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Ganga. Thank you very much. Now, you've joined us here at the Midday Masti Show at New Sound Radio, and you're listening to Honey Kalaria.